Hello everyone, welcome. We are doing some coding here. I'm Tim. I work at Warballoon on Star Command Galaxies. My focus is on UI and science, but I'm sort of a little bit in all systems, as with everyone else here. So I'm going to do a little bit of development here. I'll show you a little bit of what science is doing, and just, yeah, if you have any questions, ask. Stop me. Questions, comments, concerns, hopes, dreams, fantasies. Maybe less on the fantasies, but I won't judge. So first and foremost, what I'm showing you right now is sort of our science objects thing. This is what I'm trying to put together for that. And this is something, basically the idea here is supposed to be a modding system that modders can excel at. The ones that know what they're doing are great at, but something that basically my dog could go and build a system. I mean, it's not quite as simple for a dog. I mean, it's going to be hard for a dog to type in a width of 1, for instance, but hopefully this will get some of the idea across. So let me first show you a little bit of what tags we have here. We have a name and a type. The name of the object is just what we call it. So let's say we're making a food generator. We'll call this food generator T100 or something like that. The object type, this one is specific to everything, and so it would just be like, say, food 1 or something like that. And then we've got, and those are the only things that are necessarily required. We've also got, and I'll sort of go into some of these other tags, and it's not completely all-inclusive yet. Not completely all-inclusive. And so center X, and we'll try to make a guide sort of explaining what each of these things are, but sort of these are just, when you import your image, which right now you can tell my imported image is beautiful. It's a wonderful, wonderful white box. You're going to have a little image right just sort of over here. And this just tells, and the center X and Y just says where you want the image to be centered and what you want it to bring up. So this is going to have a 1, a 2, and a 3. Description. What is this thing? And of course our tags. So this is an object. And right now this is just going to, for version 1, it's just going to be a little line where you can just plug in what you're writing. But my plan is to make this something where you just put in your first tag, hit enter, and it saves that, put in your next tag, so that way you don't necessarily have to know the formatting we're using. It just plugs it in. You put in what tags you want, you take out the tags you don't want, etc., etc., etc. But for now, object, food, stuff. And let me try spelling that correctly. Cost, what it's going to cost in a store. Mass, this is something we're sort of toying with, how heavy your spaceship's going to be, how fast it can fly. So, durability, how breakable is it, as well as HP. So we'll just say this has 15 HP and 130 for durability. And this right here, what I'm looking at is whether this is usable or not. There might be some objects you set up like a tree or something that's just scenery. And there might be, for that you just hide it, it doesn't look like it's usable at all. But you might want it to be usable. In this case we're going to have a food generator, and we're going to want it to be something that people can eat at, and then we need the direction that they're facing. So let's say you're looking at the object, so you're parked over in spot A, object's up here in spot B. What direction do you need to face to use it? We will say that is northeast. And I will add in an extra W because I apparently like that. I see a question here from Kilra. What's the highest number you can input? Right now we have not quite established that, so I don't have the limits in, but once we sort of establish what we're going for, what sort of our limits are going to be, I'm going to limit these to those numbers. And again, when I set up a guide to tell you sort of what width, height, center X, center Y, what all that stuff means, I'll make sure to put the numbers in there so you have more of an idea of what the range is. And I also agree 130 is a lot compared to 15, so I'll go ahead and I'll switch this. 150, 13, much better. So in the meantime, let's say we've got a little bit of code we want to put in here. So this is, I'll just take a little bit of code that I was putting in here, and let's just say that we want to have something for when we're using it. What happens when we start using it? What happens when we stop using it? So we put in an on start using, and again, this is going to be set up a lot better for you so that you'll know sort of what functions we have. And ideally, if we can set it up, I'd like to make it so that you can program your own functions and have that in a drop-down, maybe something that people can download and then work in. But of course, you are going to be able to program your own too, and I will show you that in just a second. But for now, this is sort of the stuff we have, so I'll copy that over here. And this basically is just sort of saying, when you start using it, it's a food object. You start out with 10 food with it each time, and it replenishes every 5 seconds. When you stop using it, you stop replenishing it. So now, when we go to advanced mode, and again, this is going to, once it's done, still have a bit of work to do on that. When you click Save Lua, or Map, it'll generate this Lua, generate the object, but as you can see, it builds the Lua for you. You've got your required elements, your sprite height width, your description, your tags, race is defaulted to human, etc. But you'll notice something we're missing here. We've got footprint, and it shows nothing for that. Let me show you a little of our footprint system, and then this is part of what I'm going to be developing here on camera today. So let's say we want to give this a footprint of 2.5. Now, sort of to explain what a footprint is, you know when you're playing the game, you pick up an object and there's sort of the little ground stuff beneath it that blocks it out so you can't put a food generator on top of a kitchenette on top of a teleporter? Though it would be fun to send those down to the planet. That's what a footprint is. So what we've got here is a little footprint generator that you can leave it as a blank tile, you can leave it as something that's blocked for it, or you can make it a trigger tile. So this is where you would do your action. So like this one here, when they walk up, they trigger it from here. This tile is blocked, and these I believe right now are open. I need to check a little bit more. And yeah, so hopefully so now when we go back to our show advanced mode, you can see it's sort of building that. So let's go ahead and first and foremost, I'm going to sort of try to generate just a fake object on top of that. Right now I have this coming in from, let me just see if I can find this. That is in, okay. I have that in streaming assets saves. And I believe I've got this as ship test. Let me also just I'm going to start out by just grabbing a generic object, and I'll put it in the middle of ship test, and that way we can just at least test the functionality before we try to code this into something that's actually there. Perfect. Let me go find this here. Okay, so I'm going to need to probably change the filter for that. There we go. Perfect. That's going to give me what I need there. So let's go ahead and little trick I'm going to show you here from the background. I've actually set up ship holes to do this exact thing. So let's go ahead and pull this out and code it improperly so we can go fix it later. Actually, I can do this much better going here and grabbing this. So as you can see, there's a slight bit of an issue with putting that as a ship hole, and that makes it a little high. So I'm going to need to program this as a specific object here. Okay, let's go ahead and...
Did you see the laser up there? Yeah. Pretty cool.
Let's set that up. So now let's go ahead and go in here to game map. This file is where we've got a lot of our map stuff. We have some stuff that needs to be moved out of here, saves, stuff like that, but right now what I'm going to look for is, as you can see, when I load up a ship hole, I'm changing its material, I'm changing its frame size, I'm doing a few other things. So let's go up here to Objects, and let me see how I want to do this. Okay, got that. Okay, map width. Okay, so we've got frame size there. Frame size is coming from object sprite.
Right now, I'm not saving the limit number. We're just pulling up what's the word? Yeah, the random seed. And so we don't know.
Okay. It's been a little bit since I've last looked at this code, so excitement abounds.
But yeah, I think basically the console. It's a big problem if you have to kill it back to use it. Yeah. That'd be a problem. That'd be a problem. For free, you go back up and activate the teleport for the break. That's exactly right. So yeah, the teleport will work just like every other system. It has to have something using it, and it has to be powered.
There we go. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to just set this up based on, and this is definitely not where I'm going to wind up leaving this, but I'm setting this up so when we load up Science Scene specifically, whatever it calls in objects is going to instead just wind up applying this new filter for what I'm going for. So this may work, this may not. Hello there. Alright, so that goes there. And I probably want to use this, maybe? Yeah, this looks right. There we are. Any guesses on if this works? My guess is probably not. But you know, in developing, gotta say, my experience with developing is very much guess and check. You put in what you think is going to work, you put in what you hope is going to work, and then you find out later what you should have done to make it actually work. Huh, that didn't work. Let's find out why. Okay, so it's coming in here. Alright, so that should be set in the right spot there. What do we got this time? There we go. So now, if this works all right, I should be able to adjust it from here. Okay, what am I missing? What am I missing? Okay. So yeah, we're setting our material. Okay, so yeah, it gives us our width and height. That's correct. Am I missing this part? I didn't think I'd be missing this portion, but okay. Add object texture. Let's see if this adds something. Okay, and I'm just going to grab this as it was. Part of the issue here is I haven't looked at the whole code for a long time, and it needs to be rewritten. It sort of was great to get holes out at the beginning, but right now it needs a major overhaul, and I need to de-hard code a few of the things that are in there. Good. And do you have my... There we go. Do you have my filter? Yes, you do. Perfect. Right, so that's set up at 0, 0. 1 point, so it's like negative 1.5, 2.1. All right, what am I doing wrong here? Okay, so we are bringing it back. Let's try setting up breakpoint here and see if we can get what the values are and what we're looking for. Perfect, so now let's look and see map height 4 and 5. Good, we are looking for object. We want to go to the object, we want to go to the sprite, and we want to go to, let's see, that's going to be base. So where do we have the position? Where do we have the position of this? Got our sprite size. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. The game object transform, and where's our local position? Local position. Okay, local position is 0, 0, 0. Neat. That's where we think we want it. So that all appears to be in order. Except, Okay, okay. You're not coming through as a child, are you? Yep, you are not coming through as a child. We will come back to that in just a second. I think I'll need to rewrite some stuff there, but first and foremost, let's go ahead and add a GUI element to make this look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go grab an element from ship scene. And actually, while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and I'll show you guys a little bit of what's going on with science today. Actually, before I do, let me fix something that I broke the other day and found a fix for. There we go. Yeah, we want to bring that back in, get rid of that. What I'm adding in right here is I'm adding in something to do what we call super objects, and I'll show you how you make those in just a bit, but basically super objects are your rooms. This is how you might build an Antorian fort, a Varian ship, whatever. You just build them, drop them in as you would any other object, but this allows you to make the map so you can do that. So first let's find out what we broke. Excitement. Alright. That probably came from here. That closes on that. That closes on that. Good, good, good. So that should be closing in the right spot. Right. There we go. That should help. Right, I still have debug on. So this is science. Most of you have seen some of this. A lot of blue tiles. You know what? There's too many blue tiles. Let's go ahead and resize this. I'm going to make something that's 25 by 15. Well, I'll have to figure out where those sprites went. Let's go ahead and draw this out a little bit. Let's set down a couple objects here. You'll discover as I'm making this why I am part of the dev team and not part of the art team. So let's go ahead now and I feel like making this a little bit smaller. So we'll say 10 by 25. What I want to show you here is where it cuts things off. If I haven't broken this. There we go. As you can see, it gets rid of what used to be out at the end, so now you can draw your super objects whatever size you want. You can build them larger, smaller, and if you wind up cropping too small, it'll just drop off what's on the end. We're still sort of deciding if that's the way we want it to go at the end, but that's sort of the implementation we'll have for the next system. Let's add a few other objects in here. I don't believe the last version of Science had Antorian objects, but you're going to be able to do that. So let's go ahead and set down a couple of these things. And let's try to actually set that up right. Trilax walls and that are not quite trilax walls. There we go, other trilax. In any case, you sort of get the idea of what this is supposed to do. You'll be able to still load and save the ship maps that you had before, but we're going to be able to you'll be able to use more objects, you'll be able to size things a little better, and then you can bring in whatever new super objects you want. And sort of the idea behind what Science in general is going to be is something where you can build every bit of a world. You can build the ships, you can build the rooms, you can build the objects, you can build the characters, you can build the stories. And one of the things that's sort of like a long-term, I would love to see this goal. I don't know if this is where it's going to wind up going. I haven't even discussed this with Justin and Jordan yet, but one thing I would love to see someday is a way for you to be able to customize the GUI somewhat, where we make it so that you can download a separate GUI that still has all the elements, but you can change it. Again, that's a long ways down the road and hasn't even really been approved. I probably should have mentioned that before doing it in the middle of the stream, but gotta live a little. So, oh, and I also forgot to show you one other little thing here, which is tile stamp mode. You've got that there. Just push a button. We get a ton of tiles at once. I see they just noticed that. Awesome. So what I'm going to borrow here, in my science map, I've got a whole slider, which those of you that have played with science already, those of you that are in the alpha or the Kickstarters, which I guess now the Kickstarters are in the alpha, so those of you in the alpha, we'll just leave it at that, will notice have probably gotten a chance to play with the whole slider up here. And I've just been, yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to grab the ship slider here, and I'm going to go back down into our little science scene and bring it in. Do I want to save that? Don't save it. And let's go into top bar science and paste it into here. And it will go completely where it wants to anyway, so awesome. So now, I'd like to say that this will work. I can tell you it's not going to, but I'm just going to run this anyway because I want to see why it doesn't work. Well, first of all, it would work better if it actually had our object there. Do we still have that? Let me go to ship test, make sure we've still got our object there. Yes, we do. Wondering if there's something going on with this where I have to have the map a certain size to draw the object right now. Nope. Alright, are you even still showing the object? You are not. Why are you not showing the object? Oh, okay. Possibly from that super object thing I just tried to fix. Let's comment that out and see if that's where the problem comes from. There we go. Looks like I just need to fix my fix is the problem. So, I'll try to drag this down and yep, that is giving me nothing. So let's go rip out some hard coding and okay, so that's going to be in, I believe, the Science Manager. Science Manager. Change hull overlay. Okay. Now as you can see, this part here is ridiculously hard-coded. Ridiculously, horribly. I take the blame for this one. So. Let's see if I can just maybe change. Okay, so got an object sprite here. I want to find what's got this transparent diffuse material, but I don't want to. Let's hard code it to test functionality, and then let's de-hard code it to fix this. There we go. Let's make this a 3x3 map. Awesome. Just what I expected, not at all. Right, that would probably help. So this one is done in, nope, that's the old stuff. We want to come up here, we want to find, right, that's still in store GUI, isn't it? It's the same one, and I'm just going to put it over here for now, and then at some point, part of the background plans, for those wondering, is to move all this stuff into one GUI manager, so that, because right now there are functions in a couple of these files that are repeated that really just don't need to be repeated. I can just put them in one spot and just leave it there. So where do we got that? Where do we got that? I was just in Science Object GUI. There we go. I'll just stick this in here. This is going to be there we go. So now, and for those of you that are into Unity development, you may recognize this as UGUI. I don't know if you've had any, if you've had some experience, you probably already know how to do this, and you're probably seeing a lot of things that I'm doing wrong. But sort of in UGUI, you have to set up an object that has your script, so you can call whatever functions you've got. And you can put everything into one canvas. I like to set it up in multiple canvases, so that way if I want to hide something, I can just do that and hide everything, or if I want to hide the Lua stuff, I can do that and hide both the advanced and non-advanced Lua, hide required or optional, or drag them around as I see fit. Objects window's probably going away. But let's go ahead and go to ship slider here, and we should be able to call our, let's call this something that's a little bit better titled. That did absolutely nothing I wanted it to. Okay, so 3, 3, apply. There we go. Nothing. Well, let's follow the chain and find out why we... Or I could just look right over here and see that renaming that took away the value, which, for those of you working with UGUI, that's something to remember. If you change your function name, you have to re-put in the function. It's not smart enough to figure out that it was the same function you had 5 minutes ago, just with a new name. So let's go back. 3, 3. Okay, that's not working. Let's follow the chain. It goes there. Oh, okay. So I think I see what's going on here. So we've got an event manager that one of my coworkers made quite well, and what the event manager does is it sort of sends events down the chain. So I send an event publish here to say change our whole slider, and I send it the value of the slider, and then it passes it down to someone else to go change it. It's an elegant way for our different pages to talk to each other, but unfortunately I didn't make anything to catch this one, so let's go ahead and make a change alpha slider, and that's going to be, let me see what I've got for that's going to be, let me start out with, see if I can find where that's called. Okay, there we go. So this should be being, if I've got this right, that should be being called, and then I believe, yes, change whole alpha is called here, and that's where I think we're having the issue. So I need to bring this over to science state. And some of this stuff, again, needs to be refactored, pulled out, and then I can just wind up calling one thing that has all of these when I need it. And that's probably also going to be tied into the configuration stuff I've got up here. So, questions so far? Hope I'm not boring too many of you. Cool, cool. Nothing? Lame. All right, what am I missing? See how that goes there. Let's just start with that. And I'm not, okay, so it's not even calling to that function. That's our first problem. I changed that from change ship whole slider, didn't I? Nope, not there, not there, not there. Yep, there we go. Bring this in. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, still way too much. Let's keep that where it is. Okay. So now we've got that working. Now let's try to make it work a little better. Try to make it so that since we now need it for more than ship hulls, we are adjusting it to what it should be. parser manager. And we also need to pull that in from where we had it before, which is right here. What did I call that again? Change alpha slider. Keep line endings. There we go. Now let's try. Let's first try to see if we can figure out where the image is. Okay, so that is, you're looking at the game map. Okay, so we are bringing this to, oh, right, okay. I bet that's our problem. So generally speaking on our game, even though it says X and Y, we're using what's X and Z, since Y sort of makes it go up a little higher, down a little lower. I'm pretty sure that's why I've got things floating a little too high. That's a little lower than I wanted that. Let's try that at 2. Not quite where I wanted you. We probably don't need an offset since we're loading a 0, 0 map with the object at 0, 0. That's probably part of our problem. That's a little better. Let's take you down to 1. And we've got right, because I didn't put that as a float. Okay, bring that in. That is not at all where I wanted you to be. I wonder if this might be a weird image asset thing. Let's just try changing this to a teleporter. Are you teleporter? Are you teleporter 1? I think you're teleporter. Right, you apparently are not teleporter. Let's look and see. You are streaming assets, Lewis script, ship equipment, human. Okay, so go out here. Let's try that with capital T. Yep, it's a slightly weird image asset that's causing our problems. But what this probably means is I need to make the image assets a little more, need to make it so that it is better at centering, maybe calling the center X and Y to make sure it always centers on the right spot. For Kilra, that's correct. We've got a motion detector here that always has the Star Trek door sound. So every time someone comes in and out, you'll hear the door sound from Star Trek. Ooh, that is not what I wanted to happen. Yeah, it threw me off for like 3 days. I had no idea where that sound was coming from. I just kept hearing it, so I didn't know if it was like the hair salon next door to us or if we somehow had a new Star Trek sound. Oy, that's not where that was supposed to go. Well, isn't that interesting? So when I apply a bigger map, let's go ahead and make this 27. Yep, the more I bring this in, the further this guy wants to go down. Okay, let's see if we can find out why it's doing that. The teleport function, it exists, but it exists in a very weird sort of way. And
I mean, like, it's saying on start using equals teleport. Is that pseudocode or is there actually just?
yeah, teleport should be in the resources right below the replenish function.
In the resources?
Yeah,
No wonder I can't find it. It's in the wrong spot.
completely agree. And it's still going out into the middle of nowhere. I'm going to set this to 1. Okay, so where are you guys? You are considered to be at 0, 1, 0. Okay, you are at 0, 0, 0. Just see if I put you down in here for now. Okay, cast shadows, receive shadows. Nope. You should still be at 0. So yeah, if we have you at 1, 1, and then... Oh, okay, let's just try hard coding that to 115. Let's see if that looks the same on every map size, and if so, then we know we need to somehow adjust that. Okay, so I'll go ahead and set you to 115. All right, what did I forget to put in? I forgot to put that in. Okay. Well, isn't that interesting? So what happens if I choose 6 then? Yep. It looks like our object is deciding to move left as the map builds out right. And it's deciding to move down as the map builds out up. Thank you, object. You have been most helpful. Alright, let's just go ahead and hide this whole thing and just make sure that it's part of this code that's causing that. It should be, but let's just make 100% sure that that's the way it goes. Yep, this has to do with my code. Okay. So, let's just try hiding that entirely. All right. Okay, that's not the issue. Of course, of course, of course, of course. Okay, that's... I suspect that the problem is I was basically setting the sprite to the size of the map, so no matter where I set it, it went to the wrong spot. Yeah, you are nowhere to be found. Okay. Nope, I want this to be Z and I want it to come closer and closer. Okay, why are you not showing up anything for me? Okay. Okay, okay. So it looks like I'm maybe trying to declare where it's supposed to be twice, which is a bit of an issue. And for that record, if you're an at-home dev and you're seeing this and just biting your tongue on a possible solution, feel free to jump in. I am more than happy to pair a program with anyone that has ideas. Okay. Looks like I'm going to have to keep map width and map height there. All right. Yep, that goes a little bit bigger. All right. -5, -10. Of course. Okay, okay, okay. So this is coming down to how object sprite is called in. Find references. All right. This also is going to help me fix another bug I'm seeing with ship holes where if you look really closely at your ship in space scene, you'll notice that the nose of it is cut off. And I'm pretty sure that this little thing I'm working on here is the exact reason why it's cut off. Lovely. So we'll just assume that that's not the solution. Okay, so map width is... This probably isn't it. No wonder. No wonder. Okay. Okay, so this is... Okay, Object Sprite is trying to act as the length, width, height. Do we have that? Alright, let's see what we have. Let's see what we have. Alright, how are we calling in width, depth, and height? 1, 1, and 2. Alright, so in placed object, what are we saving those as? Those are being... Okay. That's right, it's an object type. And it's a public int width, so we should be able to... Okay. So let me go back here to game map. Let's see if this gives us what we need. Excellent. Excellent. It's not in the right spot, but it's at least keeping it in the same spot now, which was sort of our goal. Let's go ahead and set you back to 0. Actually, no, we'll probably want you at 1. We'll probably want you at 0. Okay. Let's see what we got. No! That's actually the exact opposite of what I wanted to happen there. So -1 and 0.25. Okay. Let's see what we get from that. Good. Let's go ahead and make this a 60 by 5 map. Good. And now 5 by 27. Weird Al's favorite number. I've always liked it. So now I need to figure out how to make that a little bit bigger. I've made a beautiful cutoff teleporter, but it's at least staying in the same spot now, rather than doing the teleporter shuffle. Okay. Okay, that looks about where I want that to be. So yeah, let's try with those values, and we will figure out where those values come from in just a bit. Again, hard coding is not for forever, but hard coding is to figure out why it's happening the way it is for now. And then it's to adjust when I go back to the food pellet, which is a much larger image. Good. 19. Good. 17. Awesome. Okay. Now let's try swapping it out for the pellet and see how close we are. Okay, and beautiful. So let's go ahead and make a note of this. As compared to our current one, which is 0.03, 1.4. And this was on a, I believe, 1 by 1 by 1 for the teleporter. Yeah, teleporter is 124. And food pellet is 112. Cool. There we go. I think for now I'm going to take this particular portion offline, but before I do, does anyone have any sort of questions that they'd like to ask? Okay, I'm not seeing any sort of extra questions here. So, let me just check one more. Why are you only showing that much of it? Right, that's because Cool. I think I will jump off then. Thank you guys so much. Dark Command Galaxies, go pick it up, starcommandgalaxies.com. And again, if you have any sort of suggestions at all for what you want to see in science, for what you want to see in future broadcasts, for any of that stuff, just let us know. You can send it generally on the Star Command forum, forums.starcommandgame.com, or you can just hit us up on Facebook, which I believe is facebook.com/StarCommandGame, twitter.com/StarCommandGame. So if you have any more questions or anything, just let us know. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing your feedback, and have a great day.